All right. We're good. We're good. All right. I'll tell my version of the story, and then Justin can tell the truth. But but how long was it ago, Justin? Maybe 3 years ago. Um, we did the big event. So anyway, I did a big Saturday event in San Francisco, and I posted something. And Justin and I were Facebook friends because of real estate. He was posting real estate stuff. I was posting real estate stuff. We were just Facebook friends, and then I think we talked one time, and then he reached out to me. He goes, "Hey, I'm I saw your event, and I'm thinking of coming out to the event." And I'm like, "Justin, but you know the event is in San Francisco. I'm in Northern California. You're in Northern Carolina, like you know." And he goes, "Well, I got the miles. I got the miles." And so I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." You know, so Justin flew out. We had a big event in San Francisco, back in the good old days when we used to all meet in person. And so we had the event, and then we went to the next day. You know, I took him to the Twin Peaks and the Mission, and we just went around San Francisco, and it was a beautiful day. Well, we became friends, and he's helped me a lot. He's you know, just become a great friend, somebody I've trust very much. We've done some business together, and hopefully we'll get to travel together as well. And one of these days, we keep missing each other in Brazil. So, but he's been very kind to me with some friendships in Brazil. So, you know, we'll make it. It's going to be interview style, and then Justin is a broker, rehabber. The homes he builds are amazing, and you know, we'll just walk through it. And then, folks, this is informal, so ask questions, unmute yourself, just ask away, no problem. One of the things I wanted to point out is, I don't know if you guys remember, some of you may. Actually, let me see if he's on here. I don't see him on here, but 2.5 years ago, I had a broker from Austin come out to our event in San Mateo, and I think in San Francisco as well. But anyway, it was a Saturday event. He was a broker out of Austin. He was originally from California. They moved out to Austin 20 years ago, and he came out. And we talked about why we should invest in Austin. I think this is now coming up on 3 years. And out of that whole group of 41 people in the room, only one person bought that I know of. New construction in Austin 3 years ago. He bought 3 homes. And about 4 months ago, he called me up and he goes, "Listen, I just want to thank you. Because of that event, I flew out to Austin. I saw what was going on, and I put down the deposit on new construction and so on." And he goes, "The properties have obviously gone up in value. I've received the properties. They're up over 100,000 in value." And, you know, he was just very grateful. And I was thinking, like, there were 41 people in the room, and only one person had the courage to pull the trigger. And, but so when the news about North Carolina came with Google and Apple, and by the way, there's a lot of other stuff going on there as well. And then I was talking to Justin about what's going on with the prices and with the with the number of jobs that are coming into North Carolina. And so I started to draw the parallels between what's going on in Austin and what's going on in North Carolina, and to some extent in Miami. We'll cover that later, but I see a lot of parallels, right? So I thought, you know what, let's see if this is something, that maybe for the folks that missed the boat on Austin, that, and look, some of you may have already bought in Austin. I have friends that bought in Austin, so I'm not saying that. And the only thing is that the gentleman, he's a regular meetup member, and he pulled the trigger on 3, not just one house. He bought 3, so he's very, very happy. And so with that, what I want to do today is I want to just get us kind of talking about, hey Bev, hey Danielle, we'll talk about what's going on in reality with the North Carolina market. And one thing you'll realize about Justin, he just speaks the truth. He just tells you how it is. He's in the trenches every day. He's extremely busy, but he'll tell you what's working and what's not working. So with that, I'm going to just do a quick interview style question and answer, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, and maybe an open discussion, as well. So we can look at the pros and cons of investing from the Bay Area into North Carolina. So with that, we'll get started. So Justin, thank you, brother. I know it's 9:13. You could be doing a lot of other better things than hanging out with my friends, but yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself first. Okay, tell us, you were. I know you were obviously born in North Carolina, but tell us, how did you get into real estate? But just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in real estate.
Okay. Yeah. Well, nice to meet all you guys. And, as Bobby mentioned earlier, he's become a really great friend of mine, somebody that I enjoy time with. And you guys are really blessed to have him as somebody to really.
Sorry. I accidentally hit, Justin, unmute yourself. I accidentally hit something. I was trying to admit somebody okay, there we go.
He's already muting me.
When you said you're blessed, I'm like, okay, I got him. I'm just kidding. Thank you, brother. All right.
So as Bobby said, I was born in North Carolina. I was born in the Charlotte area, just west of Charlotte. Grew up there. And I moved up to the Triangle area, to Chapel Hill, to go to college. And then after college, I just really liked the area up here. So ended up, after got married, moved up here, really didn't know what I was going to do. But when I was growing up, my dad, he passed away when I was 12, but he had a few rentals. So I had a little bit of real estate in my blood, and it was something that I was interested in. And I think I must have been, I don't know, early 20s when I bought my first house. I think I had to go in with my cousin because it was $14,000 and I had 7 and he had 7. And it was a disaster. And I remember when we finally got through, because we did everything, I was like, I am never doing this again. And then about a year later, another opportunity came up and I tried again, and I actually made a little bit of money that time. And then from then on, I would just dabbled in real estate for many years. I would just do 1 or 2 houses, like a flip. I would keep a rental here and there and that type of thing. Keep a rental for a few years, sell it. I've done all kinds of different things. And then as the market started to heat up in the mid 2000s, before the crash, everybody was buying everything, and I saw my opportunity then, and I started buying as much as I could do, but I was still as kind of a one-man show, just trying to do as much as I could myself. And I was almost full-time doing it then, and then the crash happened. Not as bad in North Carolina as you guys experienced it, of course, but it was still, a scary time, and I can remember I had two pretty big projects going on at the time that I thought I was going to make a lot of money on, and then I didn't lose money, thank God, but I just sold them as quickly as I could to try to get out of the situation. And then I just paused on real estate for I don't know, about 3 years. I was just too scared to do anything. And then a friend of mine called me, and it was his wife's friend's grandmother or something, and he was like, "This is a really good deal. They want to sell their house, blah blah blah." And I reluctantly, the only reason I even got back into real estate, because I was so scared at that point, was they were going to owner finance it. And I was like, well, if they owner finance it, I don't have as much risk, and so that got me back into it. And then the rest is history. I've been doing it full time for many years at this point, and it's I'm not some guru who's done 1,000 houses and all those types of things. I usually average, you know last year was a tough year, but usually average 8 to 10 houses a year as far as flipping is concerned. We try, our goal is here locally is we try to do about one a month, like selling one a month if we can. That fluctuates from year to year, obviously, but anyway, I just love doing it. I love seeing the transformations. Obviously, you can make a lot of money doing it also, but for me, it's just something that I enjoy. It gives me freedom with my family. I've got 4 kids. My second oldest just got back from college today and moved back in. I'm in the basement here. He moved back in today. And so anyway, anything else I should say?
I mean, no. So at what point did you say this is the career I want to pursue? Which property was that caused you to say, you know what, this is something I'm going to keep doing for a while?
I think it was not necessarily a property, but like I said, I had a lot of fear after the crash because I had a lot of friends, including contractors and people I knew that literally, they lost everything. Bankruptcy. Thank God I never had to declare bankruptcy, but I saw a lot of carnage from that. And so I think the pivotal point for me was I was starting to get back into it, and my current I have 2 companies. One is an LLC, a partnership with a guy here, and he's a builder, and he really wanted to get into flipping, and so he contacted me and basically was like, I'd really like to partner up with you and do some things. And so I think I felt safer that I wasn't going it alone, and he kind of had my back and I had his back, and so we've had a good partnership along the way. So I don't think it was a particular house, but it was him kind of coming alongside me, and then that gave me the confidence that okay, this is what I'm going to do full time. So.
I got you. Okay, and then so I mean. Are you trying to say that real estate can go down in value as well? Is that what I heard you saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Some of us old people, we actually lived through.
Yeah.
through some-
I thought it only goes up. Okay,
you
got
would
it.
think that.
Got it.
I know. I go to look at houses now, like wholesalers or even on MLS, and it's just crazy. And sometimes I scratch my head and
So tell us a little bit about the Chapel Hill RTP area. Like, what have you seen? When did you start to see like the banks from New York? When did you start to see companies starting to establish themselves there? And then the jobs, for example, I used to work at Cisco, and we had a big campus in RTP. And so when did you start to see a lot of new jobs being created? What year was that around?
I would say, I mean, I've been in Durham for 25 years, 24 years now. And um, I, I'm going to speak of Durham first. Durham was, uh, like, sections of it were very nice, but it had a really bad reputation. I mean, Durham was the place nobody wanted to be. There was a lot of crime. There was drugs. There was. I'll never forget. I thought I was going to get killed. One time I went to go look at some foreclosures on Canal Street in Durham, and it really was a dangerous situation. I didn't think I was going to make it out alive. A situation, and actually 2 years ago, I flipped a house on Canal Street. I swore I would never go back on that street, but um, I would say probably around 15 years ago in Durham, it started to change. Some people basically bought some old tobacco warehouses in downtown Durham and converted them into apartments and shops and those type of things. And I remember people thought they were crazy to do it, and they actually, I think the history of it is they initially lost a lot of money doing it, but that was like the Kickstarter of getting people interested in downtown. I actually missed a huge opportunity. I didn't have any money back then. There was almost a whole city block in downtown Durham that was in foreclosure, and I could have bought it for $400,000. I wish I would have known you guys. I had no money. And I mean, that's probably worth 20, $30 million now.
Wow.
This same thing. And but I couldn't find anybody to give me the money. That's the
Wow.
difference from then to now.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was at this little real estate conference, and I was talking to some investors from Raleigh, and I told them, I was like, yeah, I invest in Durham. And they actually laughed at me. They were like, I'm not going to Durham. And I said, that's fine. You can stay in Raleigh. And, but Durham has really changed. Chapel Hill, uh, let me go back to Durham. I would argue that Durham is the hottest market in the Triangle now. Is the one everybody ignored at first, but now everybody wants to be there.
Yeah.
Chapel Hill is where UNC Chapel Hill is. It's always been a more affluent area. In all these cities, Durham, Chapel Hill, and Raleigh are all right together. They're very close together. It's like one big metro area almost. But Chapel Hill is more affluent. It's kind of stayed steady. It's grown steadily over the years. And then Raleigh is the same way. It has this more affluent. It's like any big city. It has this more affluent sections, but you've seen steady growth. But I would say it's a long answer to your question. But over the last 15 years, we've really seen it start to ramp up. But then I would say over the last 3 years, it's just started getting crazy around here, as far as investment.
And
Yeah.
are the investors people who are new to North Carolina, or are they locals? Like, where's the money coming from?
I would say, like, you can, go to a restaurant or go anywhere, and I would say 70% of the people or 75% of the people you meet are not from here. I'm one of the few people that can say, you know, I'm originally from North Carolina. We have just such an influx of people. In North Carolina, you have your big metro areas, but then you have the really rural areas where that's where you're going to find your locals. Whereas here, especially in our area, it's very diverse. Durham actually is about 50% white, 50% African American, and it's, you know, Raleigh is very diverse also. So you have the universities. You have three major universities: Duke, UNC, and NC State, along with a lot of other universities. You have the huge medical facilities here, which employ tons of people. So it brings in, you know, a lot of people from, you know, around the world actually
Yeah,
here. So
yeah. And it's got good weather. It's not as cold as the northern states. It's not as hot as Georgia and Florida. So
yeah.
it's got good weather. You get all the four seasons, and yeah, but it's not as dramatic. So real quick, what does what do you think the market will do in the next few years? Like, are you, because there's such a demand, and I know you're a rehabber. Your cost of construction has gone up dramatically, right? The lumber and fixtures and everything. But what is the market doing right now as far as like for new investors? What are you seeing the new investors buying? Are there any turnkey properties? Are there any new construction, or what are people getting into right now that you work with your clients for your brokerage?
So yeah, I mean it's a mixture of a lot of that, but I would say especially in this moment right now is um, people are not doing a whole lot of new construction because of the lumber prices. I think I just sent you an article. It's like the average, it costs $36,000 more to build the same house,
Yeah.
you know, before the lumber prices went up. So um, I was just talking to a client the other day, and they want to build, but I mean, I advised them. I said, I think you would be better off, you know, to buy a house and rehab it. You have less construction costs.
Yeah.
You can add on to it, you know, those types of things. And so I'm seeing a lot more people do that. Because there's such an influx of people here, um, you know, there's not enough land in the more downtown, you know, urban areas. And so Durham and Raleigh have created unified development ordinances. Basically, you know, if your lot is big enough, I mean, you wouldn't believe like these little tiny slithers of lots that people are carving off and building a little 2-bedroom house on, to either for an Airbnb or, um, you know, selling.
like,
And
like an ADU almost, like ADUs as well.
yeah, yeah. And so, so I'm seeing that a lot. Or before the lumber, you know, situation, if it was a bigger lot, somebody might tear down a house and then they could squeeze 3 houses on the same lot. Those types of things. You see that a lot in Raleigh, especially. There's a belt line, they call inside the belt line. If you have I did a rehab. I did a rehab inside the belt line a couple of years ago. It was a small house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but it was really small. But it was on a fairly big lot, and we decided to rehab it. Uh, we rehabbed it and put it on the market. Somebody bought it immediately, and I drove by like a couple of months later, and they had torn the house down after we rehabbed it, and they were building a new house. And I was like, well, I missed the boat on that one. I should have sold the lot or something at that point. But
Yeah.
you see those types of things. But a new investor, I mean, I if I were advising someone, I would say if you could buy some lots right now, and just if you had the ability to just sit on them for a year or something until these lumber prices settle out, you would be in a good position. Um, Otherwise, rehabs or even like rentals that you're wanting to let appreciate over a couple of years. Um, with all these jobs coming in, we were very protected from the crash of 2008, largely because our area, uh, uh, the state of North Carolina is the biggest employer here, and and they're not firing anybody. And then the healthcare systems are second biggest employers here, and then you have RTP. You have all these strong employment. So we didn't see that then, and I think even if there is a pullback in the rest of the country, I'm not saying we wouldn't experience it, but it won't hurt as much. I mean, we're not selling a small 3-bedroom like you guys are for $1.2 million. We're still selling it, for $350,000. So it's a lot more affordable, and there's room for it to grow. So.
Got it. Got it. Um, all right. So what I'd like to do now is, open it up for questions like, and I'm sure, people have questions on their mind and maybe they're curious, but tell us, yeah, please, if you don't mind, there's several ways in which to ask questions. You can either chat it in or you can just unmute yourself and ask away. But either way, if nobody asks, I'll ask. But I'm sure my friends are not shy, so they'll please go ahead and ask your questions. And then maybe, how do you work with investors? How do you work with people from out of town that are looking to get a foothold in your market? So okay, got it. I got the first question. Uh, oh yeah, good, quite good. It goes, Justin. It does seem it's already too crowded there for investors. Is there still good opportunity there, and where would we look specifically? So look, it's pretty crazy crowded market already. But how? What do you do next? Where do you buy? How do you buy? But, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, if you're trying to buy just on regular MLS, this is extremely difficult. I mean, we just sold a house, on Otis Street, and I think had 18 people show up the first day and got $25,000 over asking. So that's happening every day, all over the place. Um, so I would advise. I mean, there obviously are still a lot of opportunities, but you have to look a little harder. I think there are going to also be some opportunities. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out as these forbearances start to expire and those types of things. What people are going to do. Uh, you know, I don't know how all that's going to play out, but it very well could create more foreclosures. Primarily, like for many years, that's almost all I bought. So I'm very familiar with buying foreclosures at the courthouse and that type of thing. Actually, that was for many years, that was mostly what I bought. Um, so there's that. Uh, I try to network, with lots of realtors. You know, buying stuff before it hits the market. Uh, you know, uh, Wholesalers, some are good, some are not so good. So I try to work with ones that I've built a relationship with, and they usually will call me first, because we built those relationships. But I will say this, you know, there's some outlying areas within a 30-minute drive of this new campus. For instance, if you would look on a map to the west of, well, the new campus is in RTP is on the border of Durham and Raleigh. It sits right on the border. And so just west is Durham and Chapel Hill, but just on the other side of that is Burlington, but a little town called Mebane. I personally have 10 acres of land that I'm sitting on in Mebane that is already appreciating a lot and just trying to decide what to do with it. 10 years ago, Mebane was just a little one-horse town. There's nobody there. I mean, it was, I don't know, maybe 5,000 people, but it's really growing. They have shopping center there now. Like all these people are moving there in Mebane, and there's Efland. There's all these little towns. And see, these towns are positioned between RTP and Greensboro. Greensboro is another metro area. I actually have a friend that they live in Mebane because he works in Durham and she works in Greensboro. And so they split, they drive 30 minutes each way. So you're starting to see a lot of that, and you're starting to see these little towns that are on the outskirts. So there's a lot of opportunities there. That's just to name a couple.
Got it. Got it. And from a deal, how do you find rehabs? I think you just explained that through your network, through your connections, and having grown up there, I think you're underplaying your connections. I think you have some very valuable connections over there. So
I mean, live, just like you guys, there. I mean, everybody knows this is what I do, so they'll call me and say, hey, there's a house in my neighborhood that looks like nobody's living there, and we try to track them down. So there's it's like fishing. You have to use different lures to catch different fish. So
I got you. All right, we have a question from my dear friend Dahlia, and then we'll go to Clive. Dahlia, unmute yourself, my dear, and ask away.
Oh, good. Can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes,
ma'am.
Oh, great. Hi. Wow, this is awesome. Thank you. North Carolina has been on my radar. And I was looking in, so the question that I was asking myself, and I'm wondering if you could speak into a little bit about like, what's an hour and a half to 2 hours away from RTP that might make a good Airbnb purchase, right? Like the area is not too expensive yet. It's a place that people want to go. And I found things like, I don't know, Clayton, Johnson, Wilmington, maybe not so much Salem, but let me be quiet because you know better than me. So that's question one. And question two, if other people hear this question and they want to do the same idea, I hope you think of putting us together because collective, yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So so Justin, to Dahlia's question, how Airbnbs what can they do to get into some strategic properties, maybe short-term rentals? By the way, I know a gentleman, I'm surprised he's not here, but he does traveling nurses in North Carolina very successfully. What are some good things that you're seeing that investors are doing in that market? But it could be short-term rental. And by the way, what is the local municipalities, what is their take on short-term rentals? Are they trying to restrict it? Are they trying to encourage it? Like, what have you heard?
Yeah, well, I mean, that the answer to the last part of that question is it totally depends on the community. The HOA rules, or to my knowledge, we haven't had any cities make like restrictions and those types of things on it. I have friends who have Airbnbs, and even in this area here, they do very well because we have some the medical facilities, the universities, all those types of things. So, like a beach town, you might not get much during the winter, but in a more metro area, it's going to be more consistent. But so there are good opportunities for Airbnbs. And my neighbor, literally right beside me, is an Airbnb. So I have new people all the time, and this actually works out pretty well. But anyway, to answer your question though, I would look Wilmington. Wilmington is probably my second favorite city in North Carolina. It's a metro area, but it's like very close to the beach, and so you can choose to be on, at the beach, but that's very overpriced. But you can find really good deals within the city of Wilmington, and people visit there all the time. So the Wilmington area would be a good area to look at. Um, you know, Raleigh and Durham is kind of strategically in the middle of the state.
Okay.
We can drive
Okay.
2.5 hours one way and be at the beach, and drive 2.5 hours the other way, and we're in the mountains. So
Yeah,
you know,
maybe we should organize a road trip to North Carolina, and we can all go and stay in Justin's neighbor's Airbnb and in Justin's basement. So, but,
sure.
Clive, welcome from Atlanta. Please unmute yourself and ask away.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. So, Justin, so before last week's big news with Apple's announcement, I had already been looking in the Morrisville, North Cary area, kind of within a short radius of the airport, RDU, and actually placed an offer on a property on Monday, and looks like we're in best and final on it. But it happens to be less than 10 minutes away from the newly announced Apple campus. I'm curious to get your perspective on what that's going to additionally do in terms of throwing another log on the fire, in terms of pricing, cap rates, rents, all of that. What do you anticipate the impact being?
Well, I mean, I think the impact is going to be really positive for anybody that owns real estate right now. I will caution you. Look, there's a viral TikTok going around right now about the Apple. Have you guys seen the Apple real estate thing? Anyway, they're talking about the price of an apple, and everybody's bidding it up, and it's kind of funny because at the end, one guy from California comes in and he offers $100 for the apple, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from California. It's the cheapest apple I've ever seen." And so, I would caution, because I'm seeing some people, like the house I just sold. I can't believe somebody offered. We priced it high, and then somebody offered us another $25,000 on top of that. I'm very thankful for that, but at the same token, at some point, it's like the stock market. Is who's going to hold the bag? So I don't know where that's going to be, but I do see the positive momentum in our area. Not only with Apple, but with everything else that's going on. I mean, we're consistently growing, and we have a consistent influx of people. Because what happens is people from Atlanta, from California, New York, everybody likes to come to North Carolina, and they sell their house, and they realize I can buy a much bigger house for a lot less money, and so they pay more for it, and so that naturally keeps driving those prices up. So I think we have, nobody can predict the future, and I'm not going to pretend I can, but I feel good about the trajectory of our area. I wouldn't say that for every area of North Carolina, but I would say it for the Raleigh-Durham area, for the Charlotte area, especially, that we're just having so much growth, so much influx of new people. Like our inventory is down, I think by 60%, even from last year. There's no houses for people to buy. It's down 60% from March, April of last year. So obviously it creates a huge demand, and people pay more for less inventory. So hopefully that answers your question. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do see a positive trajectory for sure.
No, that's great. Thanks for that. And then quickly, I would just ask, any tips for real estate investors working with brokers? What are the things that you see people doing wrong? And what are the things that you see that people are doing well in establishing, nurturing relationships, building relationships? Give us some tips that would be helpful to us as real estate investors.
Well, I see a lot of people, on the realtor side, obviously they want to represent you well and those types of things, but a realtor looks at a house differently than an investor. And me being both, and I'm not trying to promote me, but just people like me that at least have done some investment themselves. A realtor that has done some investment themselves, they understand it a little better. And I tend to be a lot more conservative because, I'm thinking long term. I don't want you just to get the house and win the bid, and come in with the highest offer. I want you to be happy, 3-5 years from now, and have a good investment. And so, so I would encourage you, whether it's me or somebody else, to ask those questions. I would try to find someone who's at least done some investment themselves, because they think
they know their numbers a little bit better because they're in it every day. And so Justin is a broker and a rehabber and an investor. So if you want to bounce ideas off of Justin, or but there's other folks as well that you can connect with. But just know that they should have the investor mindset, and they're not just transactional. Okay, I know Danielle's been waiting patiently. Danielle, go ahead and ask away.
Okay, I am unmuted. So I was asking about the Wilmington area in terms of, obviously Apple's moving into the Triangle, but outside of the Airbnb platform, would you recommend that area is comparable in investing, or just purchasing and sitting on, that type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, with every market, there's good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods, or A neighborhoods, B neighborhoods, that type of thing. And Wilmington still has some good deals. Wilmington's an old city, so there's a lot of there's a lot in Wilmington. A lot of these little 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses that need rehab, and obviously those prices have gone up over the last few years, but there's still room there. So I'm bullish on the Wilmington market. I haven't done one recently, but I have done some in the past. Just we've had so much going on here, I've not needed to do rehabs outside of my current market. But I've been kind of concentrating more on the Durham, Raleigh area and the Charlotte area. But like I said, Wilmington's my second favorite city in North Carolina. It's a nice place. So.
And then I have one more question. Craigslist is big in California for rentals and that type of stuff. But for people that I've talked to on the East Coast, they just never use it. And so they use more Facebook Marketplace. And so I was just wondering, what is hot in North Carolina for just kind of off the cuff marketing and finding off market deals?
Well, I wouldn't use it. But I actually used to use Craigslist a lot, but back in the early days. But it's really about networking. you know, um, you know, with wholesalers, foreclosures, networking, you know, with, you know, real estate agents that know that you're an investor, and those types of things. You're going to find, you know, once it hits Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, it's, you know, like vultures. There's going to be, you know, 25 people coming to it. Like you got to have some people in your pocket that are going to be digging around, looking specifically, literally like knocking on doors. You know, you drive by a house and the grass is high and you call the number. I mean, we do everything. So, or if I don't want to do it, I have like a few wholesaler friends that, I mean, they'll find anybody. So, you know, like, hey, find them and I'll give you a finder's fee, you know, and that type of thing. So, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean, if you're relying on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, then it's, you know, you're gonna get the last of, you know, it's gone through. They've not been able to sell it otherwise.
It's being picked apart by that time, but you know, it's a good start, Danielle, and
It'll help
but,
you learn the market by doing that type
yeah,
of stuff.
yeah, you can learn the market. But sorry, Danielle, go ahead. I ask away. I know there was some feedback, so I had to unmute you. But go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. Just thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but you know, Wilmington's, you picked a good market, so nothing wrong with that. And you know, there are gems out there, so you just gotta dig through those. But you know, so good. Glad you're looking. Bev, I know you have a question.
Hi, thanks for being here, Justin. I've been eyeing the wanting to a team in North Carolina to look at that possibility of investing in. And I'm wondering, first of all, do you pretty much only do single family dwellings, or do you get almost an equal amount of multi-units? Do you ever do any commercial? What, you know, I know it sounds like your specialty is rehabbing single family dwelling, but you know, what about fourplexes? And secondly, what about the team? It sounds like you're a rehabber, so do you have a contractor in-house, or a relationship with, or multiple, or, and what about property management?
Yeah, so my primary focus is single family residence, but I just actually ended up selling my portion of a deal. It was a commercial deal, just because they offered me a lot of money and I just was easier for me to take it. But I do have one of my investor partners here locally. He does commercial type stuff and does some multifamily. And I have a lot of connections with people do it, but me personally, I haven't done it. But I actually have one friend who he's actually bought several apartment complexes in the Charlotte area, and he basically buys it, does light rehab, refinances it. I mean, he's got a really good thing going, and yeah, he's actually approached me on a few deals, but it was like a lot of money that I didn't have. You know, I wasn't able to do it, but you know, there are deals like that for sure, and I have connections with people that do those types of things. I think other question you had was, yes, I do have a team of people. My business partner, like I said, I have two corporations, an LLC and an S corp. But in my LLC, my business partner is a general contractor. And then I also have a project manager who's a general contractor, and he just works for us. He occasionally he'll do something outside of us, but 90% of what he does is for us and manages our projects. And then we have, you know, some teams, one main team that works for us, and then everything else we just sub out, and you know, that type of thing. So you know, just building a network of people that you trust and people that are not going to gouge you on prices and those types of things. So, but it's
So your property management isn't in-house, but you have your favorites. then.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so as far as property management, yeah, I mean, that is not in-house. And in that, my company, I used to have more rentals, but I sold most of them, which was a mistake. But so, you know, that's something I'm actually looking, at long term, I'm going to start buying more rentals again. But my focus for like the last 5 years has been rehab, flips and those types of things personally. But I do know property managers and, some good people. If you were to buy something here, I could recommend those people to you for sure.
Okay, and be sure you get your contact info in the chat so that we can
We'll
call you and
we'll put
pick
it
your
out.
brain more. Thank you.
And then Bev, I know you had a question. What is RTP? And,
Yeah.
Research Triangle Park. That's what the area, the three cities is just called Research.
Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Then
Yeah,
that's what RTP, and it stands for Research Triangle Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
We call it the Silicon Valley of the East Coast, is what we like.
Okay.
It kind of is, in different types of industry, but it's a really cool place. I mean, it's almost like its own city. It's really big. They're in the companies. It's not high-rise buildings. It's you'll see the sign for the company in a gate. But if you go in there, they're humongous buildings, and it might be a 30-acre campus, for a company, and that's the way it is, because it used to be just a bunch of land, and somebody had the vision. They're actually, I was just reading an article. I do have like a little info sheet with some links too. I was gonna.
If you reach out to Justin, he can share that.
And you can read some of the development and the things that are happening even within the RTP. They're getting ready to build this whole, I think, $1 billion complex within RTP, with multi-use housing, all kinds of stuff within actual RTP. So.
How do we get in on that?
All right, I think we have more questions coming. I know Jason had asked a question a while back, so I'll go to Jason, and then so Jason, you had asked, is it worth it to buy student housing near the campuses?
Yes. So before the craziness of all the houses being gone, the smart investors, they would buy houses near the campus, and they would go in and do some remodel to where they have try to get 4 bedrooms and that type of thing, so they can get 4 students in there, and then they're renting each room out for $500, $600 each, and so they can get a lot more for it. So anything, I mean, there's about 25,000 total students at UNC, I think. The same amount for NC State. Duke, I don't know, it's maybe about 10,000 students. And then you have a lot of smaller colleges, like NC Central in Durham is a historically Black college. A lot of great opportunity there, because that used to be a very depressed area. Now it's a lot harder to find good deals now, because all of Durham is developing. But a lot of the houses around there, I remember some years back, I bought a house right near the campus at foreclosure auction, and literally the next day, this guy who does a lot of rentals approached me and said, I'll give you $10,000 for the bid so he can take over my bid. And I took it. And, but he was probably smarter than me, because he was buying up all these little dumpy houses around NC Central. And now, he's got students, and then now, single families living in those houses. So a lot of
Alright.
opportunity with the campuses.
So yeah, I mean, Jason, I would say if you're gonna do student housing, it's doable. Just gotta have really good, if you're gonna do remotely, just be, careful who your property management is, how you sign the leases, who's accountable for the damages, parents usually sign the lease or co-sign the lease. There's a lot that goes into student housing. So just be aware of that.
The A1 property manager for student housing for sure. You
Exactly.
can make a lot of money at it, but you just have to.
Yeah. Well, the other option is co-living, which is, I think one of our partner companies, Homeroom, has done co-living there. So yeah, look into that as well. That might be slightly more lucrative, and less strenuous on the property. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. But there's opportunities there. Marshall wants to know, what are your favorite zip codes? I'm sorry. Hiran, I know you had your hand raised, so please go ahead and unmute yourself, Hiran, and ask away.
Thank you. Hi. So I actually really lucked out. I just moved back from Oakland to Raleigh, where I grew up, and I moved back because I bought a house at the beginning of March in downtown Raleigh in like the South Park area. And so it's just like, it couldn't have been better timing because then Google was announced in Apple. So the house is in definitely a changing area of Raleigh. I'm sure if you're familiar with South Park neighborhood, that there's been a lot of change in the past 10, 15 years. One of the reasons why I bought in Raleigh as opposed to Durham was I was kind of warned against the permitting process in Durham taking a lot longer. Has that been your experience, kind of comparing the Raleigh to Durham permitting process and timeline?
Well, I primarily do Durham, but we do properties in Raleigh also, just not as many. But I haven't noticed like a big difference. Maybe it's because we know the people in Durham, so I've had personally a pretty good experience with the permitting process. And I say I mean my project manager. He deals with them more than I do, but I think maybe the difference is there's been so much development in Durham. They're a bit overwhelmed, and so they are behind. Maybe Raleigh is more equipped to handle the permitting process. So maybe right now in this current environment, that could be the case. But I mean, like I said, I guess we're just used to the, how long it takes when we're working here in Durham. But was it you were asking about zip codes?
That was Marshall. Hey, Marshall, unmute yourself and ask away.
Hey, Justin. Hey, Bobby. Had a question. If you had your favorite couple zip codes in North Carolina, which ones did you target? Like, is there a particular, I know you named a few cities, but is there a particular area that is on your 4-star list that if I sent you an email with that property, you'd be like, hey, let's sign a contract?
Well, there's a lot of zip codes. So I
Okay, I got you.
I would be better off telling you a city or a part of a city.
Got it.
If I were telling, I'm closing on a house I'm buying in East Durham on the 8th. What's the day? The 7th. On the 18th, I'm closing on a house in East Durham. So if I was going to direct somebody to a part of Durham that has the potential for a lot of growth, is East Durham. And I mean, if you send me a message, I can give you the specific zip codes later if you'd like. And so that's one area. And then another place to look is Morrisville, Apex, these other smaller cities that are just below Raleigh
Mhm.
are really uh, these cities 10 years ago were small cities, and now there's just tremendous growth out that way. But I would say, to the south, actually to the west of Raleigh and Durham, is a bit what I was mentioning before. People don't know how to pronounce it. It's Mebane, Mebane. It's this tiny little town, but it's like the place everybody's talking about, here, as one of the next big growth areas in that, because it's just west of Chapel Hill.
Okay. And my last question would be, me being a virtual wholesaler, my one of my goals is to kind of come out to North Carolina and start doing some rehabbing and buying whole properties. Me being in California and just trying to build capital doing a little wholesaling, what advice can you give me as 3,000 miles away, trying to establish a team like you have, a project manager and a contractor and the boots on the ground type before
Yeah. And that's honestly, I mean, that's hard to find,
Yeah.
it's, I kind of do that. I grew up in the Charlotte area, and so that's why I do some things down there, because I have family, friends, people I know and I've known a long time. But I think it's the key is even through things like this, meeting people. I mean, like Bobby and I, we met virtually, and now we're really good friends, and we trust each other, and you have to kind of work to build some of those relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to, like, I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for people that's just always trying to use me for, like, a deal and that type of thing.
Yeah.
I'll make less money and have, deeper relationships with people. I would rather have that. So I would really kind of delve through and try to, uh, even through things like this, get some connections. You may have to fly out here, meet some people, go to dinner and that type of thing, and start developing that trust.
Okay.
Hey, Justin, are restaurants open? What's the situation like right now in your area?
Yeah, most restaurants are open. I mean, you wear your mask in, take it off when you sit at the table and that type of thing. Of course, you go to the Charlotte area and they don't really care. You think COVID doesn't exist there, which blows my mind. But when I go visit my mom, it's like pre-COVID almost there. But here we wear our masks, and but I would say 90% of the restaurants are open. Um, it's just like normal almost. It's less capacity in the restaurants, that type of thing. So.
Got it. And then I think we're at the hour point. We'll go with one more question. Let me ask. Let me see if I have one more tricky question. Let's see. Okay, I think we got. Okay, here's one from Tony. How challenging is it to getting a building permit in the three cities? Does the most restrictive city have the highest property home value? Have you what kind of challenges have you had with permitting in your areas that you're doing rehabs in? And do they let you get away without pulling a permit on some of this, as long as you're not changing square feet and moving walls around or anything, or you have to pull a permit all the time?
So, that's a tricky question, obviously. We pull a permit most of the time, because before years ago, we could do very light renovations on something and resell it and make money. But now there's so much competition. The ones that we get are big renos, and it's a no brainer. We have to pull a permit. But I don't know every municipality for sure. I really only had that experience with Durham, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill. Out of those three, Chapel Hill is the hardest. They actually have a county and a city inspection team. If you're in the county, they're just like good old boys and easy. But if you're in the city, or if you're in Carborough or Chapel Hill, those two cities, they're very strict and very hard to deal with, like a big headache. So if you're doing student housing, that type of thing, you're gonna have to deal with them in Chapel Hill. But they're the more affluent, section for sure. So yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so I've put Justin's contact information in chat. If you didn't catch it, reach out to me and I'll connect you with Justin, or you have his Gmail address.
I can try to, let me see if I can post this whole thing on here. I don't know if there's a, it won't let me. Let's see. Sorry. I'm trying to copy and paste some links. See if it'll let me. It's not letting me for some
reason. Really?
I don't know why.
Okay, well, email them to me and then, or
yeah.
What's that?
I can email it to you.
Yeah, and then we'll post it. But great, thank you, Justin, and I know it's kind of late there, but appreciate you hanging out with us. We do this twice a month, and we just come together and huddle and we talk real estate. So thank you so much
joining you guys. So
and for the folks that are, if you have time, I want to give you a quick demo of our software. Let me see here. Let's share screen number 2. I want to, if you got time, and this is something that I've been working on for a year and a half. Some of you are already users on this platform, but let me just give you a quick demo. Let me know if you can see it. But Justin, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right. So this is a platform we created for real estate investors to track the performance of their real estate assets. We just recently added these filters and what are your investments, and you can look at how your investments are doing. So I'm going to do a real quick demo. It'll take only 2 minutes, I promise. And you type in an address. So let me say, I'm going to enter this address in Independence, Missouri. And I'm going to say, and then it's going to ask you, is it self-managed or not? And if you say, no, it's not self-managed, it's going to ask you, what kind of software is your property manager using? Let's say in this case, we say Folio. And then it says, okay, what's your purchase date? And you say, okay, well, I bought it in, let's say 2020. Let's say I bought it in 2020. Let's say I bought it on January 1st, 2020. And let's say I bought it for $90,000. Okay, and then the down payment was $20,000. And so it says the current market value is 169. Obviously, I'm making up some numbers. And then the rent is 1,100. Property taxes are, let's say, 1,000. Insurance is 750. PM fees are 100. And I hit submit. Okay, so now I have this property that I've created in my system. The next thing that it needs is some historical transactions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to bring in some transactions for 2020. I'm going to bring them in manually. so what was my taxes? What was the actual taxes? I want to say 1,000. Was it monthly or yearly? So it says monthly, no. Insurance was 750, and it was not monthly. What was the rent? It was let's say 1075, but it was monthly. Then I'm going to add one more transaction called mortgage. So I can come in here. I'm going to say mortgage. Mortgage, I'm going to say mortgage here, and it was, let's just make up some number, 343. Okay. Was it monthly? It was monthly. So now, boom, here's the data. We just created all the data for 2020. I need to import the data for 2021. I'm going to come in. I'm going to say manual. 2021, same thing. What are the taxes? What are the insurance? What's the rent? 1075. I'm going to add the transaction called mortgage. And I'm going to say mortgage with Wells Fargo. And I'm going to say 343. All right. And it's also monthly. Boom. Now all my information about my properties in here. It took almost no time. Now I can track the performance of my property. I can go look at my transactions. I can say, actually you can say the tax was not 900, it was 987, sorry, 987, updated, and it's done. I can add pictures. I can come in here and I can upload some pictures. So if I come in here, and I can say, I'm going to upload some pictures. So there we go. Upload. All right. So now the picture should be there. We have, we provide all kinds of reports for you, your Schedule E report, your transaction detail reports. This is being built right now. So at the end of the year, if you have got all your transactions in the system, you click one button and your Schedule E is ready. You just give it to your accountant for each property and it's ready to go. It's going to be an Excel file. If you miss something, you can adjust it, but it's all there. You can store all your documents in here. You can, if somebody sends you a lease or your insurance policy in an email, you can upload it to the system through an email. This is your email that you've created. You can also add the documents, of course, as a PDF as well. So for example, if I find, let me see, I'll find it, and here's a file, I'll upload it. Now I can add a category. I can say lease, I can say 2021, and I can say it's for Johnson. Okay. Now I can preview this. So all the information is here. I can preview this, and eventually you're going to be able to share it. If you need to share a document with somebody, it's going to let you share that document. All your contacts can be in here, so basically anything to do with your property is going to be in here. Now, let's say I needed to duplicate a transaction. Let's say this is for April. How about for May? So I come in here. I come in and I say April, May, paid, duplicate. Boom. I just duplicated. I need to duplicate this as well. So I come in here, I go, okay, duplicate. All right. Now if I go look at the overview, then all my data is in here. So this is something we built. We're going to build a marketplace. So if you're a wholesaler, you're a realtor, you're a for sale by owner, you'll be able to put your properties on here. We've got a built-in calculator for you. So if somebody comes into the site, they can play with the numbers and it adjusts the numbers for you on the fly. This is something that we are building, and then eventually we're building a system where you'll be able to connect with the buyer, the seller, or the buyer directly through the system. Here's our partner network. We're still building this out. And then Justin, I hope to make you a partner here. But but anyway, we're building this out. We just signed up with Steve Rosenberg to do the education training here. So I think a lot of you know who Steve Rosenberg is. Great friend of mine and a great educator, teacher, mentor. So he's helping us out. And so yeah, I just wanted to give you all a quick update on what we have built. It took us a long time and a lot of hard work and sweat and coding, a late night coding, a lot of coffee, but it's ready. Would love to get your feedback. Try it out. It's free to use, and give it a try. Track one or two of your properties. The idea is, we believe that you cannot manage what you cannot measure, right? So once you have all the measurements, you won't even need a bookkeeper. You won't need QuickBooks. You'll be able to track everything in this system. It's going to give you a 360 view, all your documents, your pictures, your communications with your property manager, with your maybe not with the tenant because there's some laws around that, but at least for your for your workflow for acquisition and so on, we'll have all the communications built in. Let's say Marshall, you're selling a property, you can list it here. If somebody's interested, they can contact you. The system will be able to see if you're both online. And if you're both online and you need to connect with each other and ask a few questions, boom, it's right there. So that's called unified communications. We're gonna build that. We're growing. So it's please, like I said, it's for my real estate investors. It's free to use. Give it a try, and then give me your feedback. So anyway, any questions about Better Capital? Thank you. Thank you so much. Somebody sent me a message, so thank you for that. And then next time we meet, I have another big announcement to make, but we're going to get into fractional ownership of loans and syndications and so on and so forth. But I'll save that for the next meeting. But Helen, I think you had a question. You'll have to unmute yourself. Let me see. See if you can unmute yourself.
There you go. Okay. I just wanted to thank you so much, Justin and Bobby. Number one, it's been a privilege to listen to you today. This is my first meeting on this meetup, and I'm so impressed and I'm so excited.
Thank you.
So I've got money set aside and I'm ready to go. I'm just doing my research and my homework, and I just want to thank you so much for everything that you've shared.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you for those kind words. And wish you, do great. I hope you make a lot of money. And good luck. And we want to hear from you in 3 months, and tell us what you did and share your
I'm out
successes.
here in California, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many other places that are not as developed and are that are on the verge of exploding. So yeah, I'm excited.
Consider North Carolina. So for sure.
Any way I can help, reach out to me. I'll be glad to.
Justin, thank you so much. And I work for a company that's got agents all over the country. So I'm reaching out to some of the agents I know who are in North Carolina. But I definitely will, if I go out there, I'll definitely say hi to you, Justin, and take you out to lunch, okay?
There you go.
With no requisitions on your behalf. I'm not going to ask you for anything. I just want to meet you, okay?
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Helen.
Absolutely.
Amitation, it's called bettercapital.us. Frankie, you don't even need to download it. It's on the web. It's all SaaS based, really easy to use. And you just go to bettercapital.us, and if you have a Gmail account, you can log in with your Gmail. If you don't, you can create a login. And thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. Thanks, Amitesh. Yeah. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Frankie. Appreciate it, brother. So yeah, look, guys, we're here. Ask questions, come and share. If you want to share anything, if you have a need, you have a want, you want to announce anything, please unmute yourself and let the team, let the group know. So feel free to share anything. If you have any announcements, or you need something, or you need help, just unmute yourself and ask away. Don't be shy. Okay, no worries. All right. But I see a lot of beautiful and wonderful friends, and hopefully when COVID is over, we're going to have our in-person events as well. I miss those, but you know what? Zoom is okay. Zoom is working. Because of Zoom, we got Helen and Clive from Atlanta, and we got Justin from North Carolina, and so we can all meet and still do our business. So it's pretty cool. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe Friday and the weekend, and we'll see you. I'm doing an event on capital raise using LinkedIn with Yakov Smart. So that's on the 18th. Hopefully you can join us then. But until then, please stay safe and best wishes. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
All right. See you, everybody.